Tonight on KSL Outdoors.
There's one. Good one.
Are the winter blues setting in? Do you need a trip to the river? We'll also show you efforts by the DWR and sportsmen to feed deer and chukar here in Utah. I'm Adam Eakle, and this is KSL Outdoors.
KSL Outdoors with Adam Eakle is brought to you by your local Ford stores.
Thanks for tuning in to KSL Outdoors. I'm Adam Eakle along with Mickey Anderson from Fish Tech. And you know, you and I were talking the other day, it's gotten pretty warm.
Yeah.
It's time to get off the ice and go hit the river.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this. Let's go up and see what it's doing. The river's been frozen. This warm temperature should clear the ice off.
Okay, where are we headed?
Let's run up on the Weaver, see what's going on up there.
Long stretch there to check out, and I got about a dozen flies you hooked me up with. They better work.
I don't care. As long as mine do.
That's true. All right, we're headed up to the Weaver. I'm surprised how warm it is.
It's nice.
It's 50 degrees out here for early February. So what do you think right here? I mean, we've fished this before.
Yeah, that's normally a good stretch right through there. Let's see if we're gonna get them. It's winter time. In fact, well, I'll bet just a week ago, this was frozen all the way across.
Yeah, very few people have been out here.
No.
All right, what are you gonna start with?
My own little fly and a dart, red dart.
Okay. Oh! I just had a fish.
Oh, man.
Lost him.
There's one.
one.
Good one.
Good one. Big ol' whitey. Be a whitey.
That's fine with me.
Oh yeah,
Big
nice whitey. Cool.
Love the whiteys.
Do you think it's possible that they're kind of still in that winter pattern, deep holes?
Yeah, water's cold.
Yeah.
Part of it, you know, what we don't know is what wasn't a hole last week.
That's true. Got him on the flash bulb?
Yes. All right, now let's see what he's eating. Ooh.
Ooh, something big in there. Oh, wow. He's been eating.
Lots of midges. There's a sow bug. So this bigger one's a sow. You know what?
Look at him.
They're tiny caddis. Sows and little teeny caddis. I caught it on a great big attractor.
So for the next month or so, even maybe a little longer, we're going to see a lot of runoff with all the snow we've had, and so we're going to have a lot of off-color water.
Yeah, there is, but you know, it's still real fishable. A lot of people won't, but it's still fishable if you remember a couple things.
Oh, there's a fish. Little whitey.
Nice.
Oh, and he got off.
What I've seen is first is slow. You know, sometimes slow water, the fish can find food easier there. Work it slow. Just keep casting and work one hole over and over again, give them a chance to find it. There's a fish. And the next is shallow. The fish can see up in the colored water and see a silhouette against the sky. So adjust your indicator up, and I only fish about 20 to 30 inches deep in muddy water. Yeah, if I didn't already have dinner plans, he would definitely be going home. The next is shiny. Add a little bit of flash. So my best rig, I had a worm for kind of an attractor fly, and then a real flashy fly underneath, and that flash fly was by far our best today. There's one. Good brown.
Is that a big whitey?
Brown, big brown.
Wow. Oh!
I missed him when he came by.
Oh,
Hit the line with my net and knocked him off.
oh, Mickey. That's it. You got to take a swim. That's a big fish.
That was.
Boy, whitefish will save a lot of fishing trips. Man, he just does not want to come in. There we go. Nice little whitey. Boy, you know what? When you're not having a good day of fishing like me, a whitefish will sure save a lot of fishing trips. Cool fish. Get him back in the water, see if we can get another. So that was a nice brown trout you had for about 2 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, my hands just would have stunk from having anyway, so.
I'll take the stink. Good deal. Hey, off-color water, it's gonna be around for quite a while, it looks like.
Yeah, I think all spring we're gonna have a lot of high off-color water.
Okay, still a good time to get out and fish.
We can still fish it.
All right. Hey, we'll have more here coming up on KSL Outdoors.
Deep snow and freezing temperatures prompted the DWR to feed deer on winter ranges in northern Utah.
That just ahead, but first, tonight's climate quiz question.
The Weber River originates in the Uinta Mountains, near the peaks of Bald Mountain, Notch Mountain, and Mount Watson. Fly fishing on the Weber River is one of Utah's overlooked gems. Wild, non-native brown trout are usually the target for anglers, as is the occasional rainbow and native mountain whitefish. Our climate quiz question tonight is, can you name the 2 native sport fish found on the Weber River? Once you know the answer, log on to our KSL Outdoors Facebook page, give us the correct answer, and while you're at it, give us a like. We'll then randomly select and announce a winner on our Facebook page the following week. The winner, set to walk away with a Climate Static V sleeping pad. Climate, comfortable, rugged, and lightweight. KSL Outdoors, powered by Ford. We'll be right back.
KSL Outdoors is also brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, Fish Tech Outfitters, Utah State Parks, Burt Brothers, Climate, Intermountain Wind and Solar, the Cabins at Bear River Lodge, Trax Power Sports Rentals, and Camp Chef.
Welcome back to KSL Outdoors. I'm Adam Eakle. You know, all this snow we've been getting this winter is great. Great for fish, great for filling our reservoirs, but it's not so great for our four-legged friends. And that's why the Division of Wildlife Resources and Sportsmen have decided to step up and give these deer a helping hand.
Right now we're feeding all over northern Utah. Today we're in Ogden Valley, Huntsville area.
For the first time since 2008, the DWR and hunters are coming together to initiate an emergency feeding program for deer that are struggling to survive the tough winter weather.
The intent is not to take over a deer's diet, but to supplement the diet, help them, give them energy, and to allow them to use surrounding browse.
One thing we did this year compared to 2008, maybe in 1983, is we started feeding earlier. Colorado did a study a few years ago with what they were looking at as adult dose survival, and those are the animals we really want to target to save because that's our breeding population. And they found that they fed early and got it going quick enough that they did have an impact on increasing doe survival and also on recruitment the following year because the does were in better condition.
We got to them early enough, you hope?
We hope.
Biologists go out on a weekly basis and monitor deer on their winter range. They look at snow depths. They look to see if the deer can get to the available food or is the snow crusted over. They monitor temperatures to see if they are below normal, and they also monitor deer throughout the year to see what condition they are in.
In Cache County, for example, we have 40 does and 20 fawns that are collared, so we'll monitor their survival and we'll compare that to other units where we're not feeding and see if it makes a difference.
Our sportsmen's organizations have come to the table in a big way to help out. The cost of feeding this winter will probably exceed $300,000 in feed alone. It's possible for us to jump in and buy food, but we need people on the ground, boots on the ground, to get out there and help us get this food spread. This is a daily effort. It's not a once and done thing. We just don't have the staffing levels to go in and get all this feeding work done. That's when the call went out to our sportsmen, to Mule Deer Foundation, Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. We have their members and organizations all throughout the state.
In addition to sportsmen, landowners also pitched in, with barns to house the feed and machinery to plow areas so that these deer could get to the 20 deer feeding areas.
I can't say enough thanks to the landowners for supporting public deer on their properties. They're paying ranch hands to feed cattle and deer at the same time.
With all of this effort, biologists and sportsmen admit they may only have saved a few hundred, maybe a few thousand deer, but they say they couldn't just stand around and do nothing.
It's worth it if it doesn't work, because then at least we know we went down swinging. We didn't just stand there and say, oh, you know, we should have tried something. We did something. We put our money where our mouth is. We mobilized, we put people in action, we got together, we put the feed out there, and if they don't eat it or they don't benefit from it, at least we went down swinging. Nobody can say, well, nobody tried.
Next up, it's upland game hunters who take to the hills to help struggling birds. But first, back to the guys at Fish Tech for tonight's fishing report.
Hey, we're nymph fishing on the Weber, and I want to talk about the good and the bad of strike indicators. Hi, Mickey Anderson for Fish Tech with this week's fishing report. The most effective indicator that you can use is a sighter. This is a two-color piece of line that you can watch out on the water. You're going to get the softest presentation and see the tiniest hits. Problems with this are a really windy day like today. When I was casting this out, the wind would just blow it off the water. My favorite type of indicator is just a small plastic like this airlock. This works really well because it's small enough that it doesn't make a hard splash when it hits the water. Problems with it, or a day like today, the glare was so bad that I couldn't see this little white one anymore, so I went to a little bit bigger size and a little brighter color, and that made it easier to see. This is also the type of indicator I like to use in a bottom bouncing rig. Bottom bouncing means you can have all your weight on the bottom and your flies above the weight. This works really well when you're fishing really tiny flies. The key to making this work is to put enough weight to get it down in the deep water like this, and then have an indicator that can float that weight off the bottom. Now you adjust your indicator so that the weights just barely tick along the bottom, and you watch your indicator bounce or dribble across the surface. Well, I've got my indicator set perfectly right now. Now I just got to catch a fish. Hey, for these indicator tips and a whole lot more, come on down to Fish Tech and we'll help you out. Now for tonight's fishing line.
Welcome back to KSL Outdoors. I'm Adam Eakle. You know, it's not just deer that are struggling with this harsh winter we're having here in northern Utah. Here in Box Elder County and even up in Cache County, it's upland game species like partridge and even sharp-tailed grouse that are struggling. So hunters have decided to put the shotguns down and grab some feed and help the birds out.
So Box Elder County and Cache County are really hating it. There is no exposure on south-facing slopes. Chukars absolutely have to have access to the ground in order to survive the winter. They have to get down and get those little cheatgrass shoots that are about this tall. If the sun doesn't come out and melt those slopes, we don't have any way for chukars to get feed. In some areas we were afraid we were going to lose the entire chukar population of a particular mountain range. So we wanted to try to feed them and get enough chukars by that we would have enough to repopulate wild birds without having to reintroduce them later. So we put the call out, and what's so amazing about it is look at how many people we got out just in a couple days time. The division donated chicken scratch, and everybody's coming and picking it up and going out to their feeding locations and sites.
Brett organized this effort over social media. In just 2 days, over 24 hunters volunteered their time and their equipment to not only feed the birds, but also to forego hunting in Box Elder and Cache County for the last 2 weeks of the season.
We can even load the sled up if you want and just drag it around to different stations.
We called the DWR and tried to get an emergency closure, which they couldn't grant us, sadly.
I think it'll work. I'm hopeful anyway. I mean, you got to be optimistic. We all like to pursue the wildlife, and once in a while you get in a situation where you kind of have to do your part to try to promote preserving the wildlife versus just going out and harvesting all the time.
Here on Colton's family property, Huns were doing their best to survive by eating with the cattle. Many areas we found chukars right on the road, trying to find anything they could eat.
The idea behind what we're doing today is just to move birds off of the road so they're a little less vulnerable, and also if we can keep a few birds alive through the winter into the spring, then there'll at least be a breeding population left in these areas.
As hunters, we're the biggest stewards of wildlife there is. I mean, if it weren't for hunters' dollars and efforts and deals like this where hunters get together and pool their resources, then there wouldn't be any animals at all. The resource is protected by hunters.
Chukar hunters are amazing guys.
You know, this feed's only been here for about an hour, and I kicked out about 20, 30 birds on my walk in here. So they're already finding some of this feed. Hunters know they're not going to save all the population, but they sure hope to save some of the populations in some of these areas where they're struggling. More here on KSL Outdoors in a moment, but first, down a different trail in tonight's Utah Field Guide.
A favorite of many ice fishermen, the yellow perch is a relative newcomer to the waters of Utah, but is now found in many lakes statewide. Young yellow perch eat zooplankton, whereas adults eat larger invertebrates such as insects, snails, and even small fish. This species spawns in the spring and is fairly unique in that females lay their eggs in long gelatinous strands, usually floating or hanging from vegetation or some other structure. When successful, thousands of yellow perch can be produced, and it's these young fish that provide the food base for much larger predators like bass, tiger muskies, wipers, trout, and even other perch. Perch will often stunt due to overcrowding unless significant numbers are removed from the system through predation or angling. For more information on yellow perch or any other critter found in Utah, check out our Utah Field Guide on our Outdoors page at ksltv.com.
Boy, it's crazy to think that just a week ago we shot that mule deer story and it was pretty darn cold and snowy, and now we're out here in just shirts and light jackets. Gotta love Utah weather. You never know what it's gonna be like sometimes. Hey, let's find out that recreation forecast now by turning it over to Kevin in the weather department. Welcome back to KSL Outdoors. I'm Adam Eakle, back here along the Weber River. Hey, don't forget, if you're looking for some ideas to get your family into the outdoors, or maybe even inside, like the International Sportsman's Expo that's just around the corner, you can find all the information on that and much more right there on our Outdoors calendar page at ksltv.com.
And if you're looking for a fun family event, you might want to check out the annual Delta Snow Goose Festival next Friday and Saturday. As many as 20,000 snow geese are expected to converge on Gunnison Bend Reservoir and the surrounding fields as they make their annual migration north. It's a sight and spectacle that everyone should see. All the info is just a click away on our Outdoors calendar page.
Why don't you ever submit Snapshot entries? Do you lose all your big fish right at the net?
Maybe.
Maybe you need to start submitting every once in a while. You could use a camp chef.
Oh, yes, I could. My net's empty.
Yeah, it is. Hey, don't forget, when you catch a fish, even when you lose a fish, make sure to take a picture of your outdoor adventure, send it into our Snapshot contest. You might win our big prize from Camp Chef. Now, the best of the week, our Snapshot of the week.
We kick it off with a persistent crew who did what it took to get their bull. Russell drew a Book Cliffs bison tag, and after 2 months of hard hunting, including building this bridge to span a washed-out trail, their hard work paid off. Russell and his 10-year-old son were able to close the 2.5-mile distance on the herd, and Dad did the rest with a perfectly placed shot. On the muzzleloader hunt down in southern Utah, Hunter Butterfield spotted this buck and shot him at just over 200 yards right through the heart. Hunter says it's not the biggest buck he's killed, but he's happy with his first muzzleloader buck. Next year, he's setting out to get a deer with his bow. Check out this cool buck that Nick shot with his bow on the extended hunt last season. Nick's son and good friend Josh Soley were watching the buck from afar for about 8 hours. Nick snuck in and waited for the buck to make a mistake. The buck finally did, but Nick didn't, and arrowed this gnarly-looking buck. Bill and his crew were down at Powell the first week of February sporting shorts and t-shirts. Bill says they had a great trip, catching walleye, a boatload of stripers, even a few large gizzard shad. But our winner tonight volunteered his time and came away with this really cool shot. David Longfellow was volunteering for the Idaho Fish and Game's deer feeding program up near Bear Lake. David snowmobiled in one day to feed the deer and decided to put a trail camera nearby. His camera ended up snapping this once-in-a-lifetime shot of this golden eagle as it flew over the ridge, startling the deer. David says he couldn't have captured this shot with a handheld camera if he tried. Well, thanks, David, for helping out the deer and sending us that great shot that has now won you our Snapshot of the Week. Remember, submit your pictures or video, plus an explanation of your latest outdoor adventures, online at ksltv.com. The winner each week wins the new Pro 60X 2-burner stove with tube 30,000 BTU burners and matchless ignition. Plus, the winner is also entered into our Ford Trucks quarterly Facebook giveaway for a Camp Chef pellet grill.
From quality outdoor cooking stoves to barbecue boxes, Dutch ovens and cast iron, coolers, even a kitchen pantry. Do it all with Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
You know, I was saying this earlier, God, just a week and a half ago, it was snowing, blowing. There was probably 18 inches of snow here, and now it's all gone. It goes quick.
It goes way too quick.
Yeah. It should be, you know, like you were saying too, we're gonna hopefully get some water, maybe scour out some of this sediment that's built up here in the streams.
Yeah, we've been in a drought for so long that we do have a lot of silt on the bottom, and if we can get enough water to wash it out, it's going to be really good for the insects, which will be good for the fish.
Nice. And if people want to go and learn how to fly fish, they can always sign up for your class. It's just a few months away.
Yep, it's coming up.
Cheap, right? How much is it?
Too cheap, 50 bucks.
Too cheap. It's a good class. Jared, our producer, took it, and he can actually throw a fly now. He's even caught fish.
Even better.
Must work. Hey, I'm Adam Eakle with Mickey Anderson, reminding you to get out with your family, your friends, and make some memories, like a day on the Weber outdoors. We'll see you next weekend. Good night.